All right, good morning everyone. Welcome to another video. Good to be back. As you might have noticed, I think we're going on 10 or 11 days since our last video. So here's what happened basically. Last time I was went out for a few hours. On the way home, got about, maybe, I don't know, a mile away from the house and noticed that the trailer was shaking. Didn't feel right. Pulled up to my road, went to back the trailer in, and the truck was having a hard time pushing the trailer in. Sure enough, get out, check it out, and I have a tire going flat. So check the tire out. It's not on the tread part, it's on the actual sidewall of the tire. So I had to go get tires for it. Wasn't successful in finding anybody that had the type of tire that I wanted. So I went online and ordered them from e-trailer and had to wait a few days to get them in. Got the tires in, went to our local Coast Tire, and they took and changed them right over for me and got me back on the road. But all in all, took about a week. By the time placed the order, e-trailers got them to me really fast. I think it was 3 or 4 days, and they were sitting on my my front porch. So anyway, here we are. We're back at it. Back up at Wallenpaupack today, and what I want to do is I want to set up the troll, and once I get set up, I want to talk a little bit about the Downriggers. Had a few questions from a few different subscribers about, certain parts of the Downrigger, what size ball, just some of the details. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get set up. We're going to do the same routine we always do, 3 poles. I'm going to go with 2 Downriggers today. Going to go with a 3 color lead core and a hammer rig. These are a walleye rig. Guy up in Oneida makes these, and these are extremely effective. They're made to cut weeds. You can cast this, you can troll it, you can jig it, you can put a worm on it, you can pretty much do anything with this. So today we're going to put a worm on it. We're going to put it out with 3 colors and a walleye planer board. Over here we're going to go with the orange and hot pink worm harness from Dutch Fork. So that's going to go in this Downrigger, and then over here we're going to put a Fire Tiger T4 flatfish out. Just looking for something a little bigger to try to entice these guys. I noticed the water's a little cloudier today because of all the rain that we've had, so I'm looking for the action on this lure. So we'll get these guys out. I'll probably leave this one in, but I'll get the other 2 out, and we'll talk a little bit about downrigging and the setup. And I'll also get the Garmin rear facing. So we'll kind of put those 2 things together and see what we could come up with today. So stick with me, and I will be back in a minute. So let's talk about the Downrigger a little bit. So this unit right here, this is a Canon unit, and there's so many of them out there. I can't really give you a comparison of all of them because this is the one that I've always had. This is the Canon Unitrol 10. I know they make several different versions. They make a Canon Unitrol 5, which I think the only difference is the boom is not extendable. So this boom can be extended out. I think the Unitrol 5 is a fixed boom. I think it's 24 inches. Do I extend it out often? Not really. I mean, I will on occasion push it out away from the boat. It depends on, what's going on, the conditions. If the fish are a little boat shy, I'll push it out. If I'm running something off of the back of the boat, which usually is the Downrigger, I can also move it out for that purpose. Other than that, it usually sits right where it is. Really good unit. Manual, of course. They do make an electric unit. My thought on that, and this is strictly my opinion, you know that the manual one is always going to work. You don't have to worry about having an electrical problem, running a battery down. Are there advantages to the electric one? I'm sure there are. If you're, you know, if you're fishing in deep water, you know, and you're down 100 feet or something, or 200 feet of water, it probably would be helpful to have the electric. But for me, you know, the deepest thing that I'm fishing for is lake trout, and you know, it's really not a big deal to crank it in. I think there's 200 feet of cable on the unit. It comes standard with it. It also comes with the terminal kit, the Canon kit. Now I've changed mine over to the Scotty version. I just have a little bit more confidence in this clip when I'm banging this ball off the bottom if I am fishing for lake trout. So you know, the one that came with it works fine. I had it on there for a while, but you know, I decided to switch over to the Scotty version. So I also added the Scotty retriever, and that is very helpful, and it makes it a lot safer. So what that does for you is basically, I'll put the downrigger out and we'll get this thing rolling here. The retriever hooks onto the side of the downrigger and basically lets you, instead of having to reach out, you know, all the way out here to grab the wire, you pretty much just take this and pull it in. And then there's a little cleat right here that the rope catches on, and then of course, you know, it's right here. You can hook your line up and get it out. Real simple. Haven't changed the cable on these, so this is the 3rd season. Haven't had an issue. I will take, at the end of the season, I usually take a few feet off just to make sure that that isn't worn where that termination is. And I haven't had a problem since, or I haven't had a problem at all, actually. The mount that I have for the downrigger, and these are all subject to what type of gunnels you have and you know how you are going to fish. So the one that I use is a Brocraft. That's the aluminum part here. It hooks right into my 45-degree rail on the boat, and you can see that's a 45-degree. Some of the other boats have 90s. Real easy to install. Now I switched they give you the little pins that come with it, and I switched them out with carriage bolts to get more grip on my rail. So especially for the downrigger, because you're putting some significant drag on this thing when you're pulling it, so you want to make sure that you have a good mount. All right, so poles is dependent upon what you're going to run. So for me today, worm harnesses, smaller presentations. I came up with this Okuma Blue Diamond, and this is an 8'6" rod. It's a medium action rod, and it is worked out perfectly for the downriggers. Haven't had any problems, with lake trout, brown trout, even walleye. It's perfect. You get good feel with it. It sits in the downrigger really nice for these smaller rigs. Now I've even run flasher flies with spin doctors and flashers off of this and not had a problem. I also have run the trees, and you guys saw that. Now the smaller tree, it seems to be okay. It does definitely load the rod up a little bit more, but it will function. Now probably more ideally, if we were going to go with the tree off of the downrigger, this is an Okuma GLT. It's actually a downrigger rod, and it's a little bit heavier than what the Blue Diamond is. And I'll see if I can get you guys the model number. There it is right there. I think you can see it. So it's a CP-DR-862M, and this is an 8'6" rod as well, but it's also good for 10 to 20 pounds. So it's a little bit heavier. good for 1/4 to 2.5 ounce, which, you know, if you're gonna run trees, these are more ideal for that. If you're gonna run the large trees, then you're gonna wanna step up into the lead core line. And these Okuma rods are fantastic. All around good rod. They don't kill you on price, and those guys aren't paying me to say that. That is just what I found. I've had several different makes of rods now and kind of settled on those guys and really like them. As far as reels go, this is the Okuma cold water, and these are excellent. And you know, like this is a 203 DLX. Now DLX, I have a left-handed retrieve, so it's a little bit different. So make sure you check your part number if you are going to order these. Don't, you know, if you're not a left-handed retrieve, you don't want the DLX. But check your model. 203 is a little bit smaller than the 300 series. The 300 series gives you a little bit bigger spool, and if I had to do it all over again, I would probably just go across the board with the 300 series. So that's that. And you know, there's a million different line counter reels out there, but if you're gonna do the downrigger, you definitely wanna have a line counter. Usually, you know, I'm fishing walleye here today. I'll run about 40 feet out. So, in fact, let me get this out so that while we're chatting here, we're actually fishing with 3 lines. So, you know, reset line counter. You guys can see. Now, I'll put this out because I'm going to pair it with the Garmin. I'm going to put this out about 40 feet so I can keep an eye on it with the Garmin. And that's going to tell me how these fish are interacting with whatever I'm using. Now today is a worm harness. We've caught fish up here before. You saw in my previous video, we caught a nice walleye up here on this particular rig with the worm. So we definitely want to keep an eye on it. Now for me, I use about 35 to 40 feet of leader fluorocarbon, and then I go to a braid. I like to put the braid in the line release, and I'm going to show you the line release in a minute as soon as I get this guy out. All right, so let's see if I can get a good shot of it here. So pretty much what you do is you take your line. This is like a clothesline pin, and you can move this back and forth in here as to how hard you want it to be able to grip onto that. So if you put it in the front, it'll pull out easier. I usually put it right to the back because I like to keep the line in the downrigger clip when I get a strike. That allows me to control, you know, when I pull it. Now bigger fish definitely will pull it out no matter where you put it. It also eliminates you know, false strikes and it pulling out without something hitting it. Because if you get into a wavy condition, the ball will start swinging back and forth, and you may see where you know, you'll start having false strikes. Clicker on, you know, set your drag accordingly, crank it down, and so right now the pole isn't loaded, so the actual weight takes the loading of whatever you're putting on. That's why we can use the lighter setup and not have an issue. Now, ball size is dependent upon what you're going to be fishing with. So today, you know, I have a worm harness on here, and I have a flatfish, just a plain flatfish on the other side. So I have a 10-pound ball out. It is perfectly fine. Now, if I was going to have a tree or something heavier with a lot of drag, I would move up to a 12 or a 15-pound ball. And the reason you do that is because you want that ball as straight in the water down as possible. You don't want that drag to pull that ball out away from the boat. You'll start to get false strikes, and you know, things just don't work as well when you have a lot of drag. So a little bit bigger weight for bigger presentation, and it'll work out fine. I carry 3 sets of balls in the boat, and I have a 15-pound set if I know I'm going to like the Finger Lakes where I'm going to be fishing deeper. So the deeper down that you go, the more drag you're going to create on that ball, and it's going to get further away from the boat. That's, you know, they call that blowback, but you kind of have to get a feel for whatever you're fishing to see what kind of ball weight you want to put out. If I was going to purchase, you know, if I was going to start new and purchase 1 set of balls, I would probably just get a 10-pound set, unless you're going to go, you're going for some really deep water, and, you know, then you might want to look at a little bit heavier. As far as the clips, there's a ton of different clips out here. So this is strictly my opinion. I've heard a lot of good things about the Scotty clips, and I haven't tried them. I've used these offshore line release clips, and these are the ones that I like. So it's kind of like a clothespin. You just pinch it, and you put the line in the little pad according to how hard you want it, you know, to be able to pull. So again, if you put it in the front, it pulls out easier. If you put it in the back, you know, it's harder for a fish or, you know, anything else to release it. These last quite a while. I always carry an extra one, but I think I've only changed one of these in the 3 years that I've had the Downriggers on this, well, not on this boat, but since I've had this set of Downriggers. So that's about all I have on the Downrigger at this point. If you guys have any questions on anything that I you know, talked about today, certainly put it down in the comments. I'm going to see if I can get some scanning in here and see if I can find some fish so that we have a little bit more action in this video, and I'll catch you guys in a minute. All right, I'm back. So I wanted to mention one more thing about blowback. So the heavier your ball, the less blowback you're going to get, right? You increase speed, or you increase whatever it is that's going to put tension on your line, you're going to pull more blowback. So just for instance, I switched this pole over to a tree with a flatfish on it. Now this pole has just the worm harness on it, and we can see on the Garmin that, maybe you could see. All right, so the ball for that rig is about 5 feet back from my boat. So if I pan over to the one that has the tree on it, you'll see it jumped up right up to about 10. And there it is, right there. So that's about 10 feet. That's about 5 feet. So the other thing that's going to do is, as that thing gets dragged behind the boat further, it's going to bring your lines up. So you may think you're 15 feet down and you may only be 12. Now, if you don't have the Garmin, obviously you can't see that. So you have to take that into consideration. There's a chart for blowback. If you go to Canon's website, you can check that out, and it'll actually tell you lift in the water versus blowback. Now I have a 10-pound ball on here. This is, like I said, it's plenty. If I was going to run the tree, I would run this smaller tree with a 12-pound ball. I just didn't feel like changing it, and I wanted to show you guys exactly what that looked like. So I hope that came through on the video. There's a pretty good glare today, so I'm not 100% sure that you'll see it, but definitely you want to consider that when you're running your downrigger lines out, because it will definitely change your depth. So that's it for now. Catch you guys in a minute. All right, guys, back in the garage to finish this one off today. So Mother Nature just, she kind of took over today with that wind and made the audio a little rough. Report on the fishing, not too much to speak about today. You know, it's fishing, so you know, you're not always going to go out and have a stellar day. Ended up with one decent smallmouth, was about, I guess it was around 14, 15, maybe 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds, a handful of perch. I had one decent hit and got drugged down in the trees and ended up battling to get out of that. Didn't end up getting the fish. Actually bent the hook flat and was able to get out. I'm kind of glad I'm finishing this one up in the garage, because there was one more thing I wanted to talk about a little bit more, and it was rod selection. So, you know, if you're just starting out with the Downrigger, most people have, you know, regular spinning rods, and they will work in the Downrigger. In fact, I used them probably for the first few months that I had Downriggers. This happens to be a Shakespeare ugly stick light. I think it's a 6'6" or a 7 foot. Okay, so this is a 7 foot medium action. It's just a Walmart purchased pole, and I have a few of these, and there's actually a few advantages to these. Number one is with the spinning rod, most people are familiar with that, and it also gives you the ability to have retrieve on either side. As you guys know, I have left-handed retrieve on all of my trolling rods and reels, and you know, if I'm going to have my wife or the kids out or some friends out in the boat fishing, these are a good option because I can have it either way. I can set it up left or right and, you know, have something that they can fish with. The downside of it is, first of all, you don't have a line counter, but you know, there's a few ways around that. And number one is they do make clip-on line counters, and I've had them in the past. Prior to even you know, owning Downriggers, I had line counters on my poles. One of the things that I will tell you is most of them have a little hole in the side, and what that hole is for a tether. You definitely want to tether it to your pole, because what happens sometimes is as the line is running off, it gets caught and it will pop that thing off and you'll lose it in the water. I've actually lost a few. And I mean, they're pretty cheap, but you still don't want to lose them while you're fishing. The other thing that you can do is how you spool your pole, your reel. So this particular reel, I spooled it with braid, and what I did then is I just tied on 40 feet of mono. This way I know that once I get past the mono, I'm past that 40-foot mark, and that's where I stop. So I'll run it until I see braid come out and let it go about, you know, just enough to get it in the clip of the Downrigger, and then I know I'm going to be about 40 feet behind the boat. If you want to adjust that, you know, say I wanted to be 35 feet, well, I would just judge the length of the pole, and you know, I bring the braid back down into the reel, and then I know I'm close to or approximately that 35-foot range. So there are definitely ways around it. Again, like, everybody has these, so you can definitely get started. Understand that, you know, the cost of a Downrigger, it doesn't allow everybody to go out and buy a whole set of rods and reels to get started. But one of the other things that you're going to find is when you're letting out the line and trying to release the Downrigger to actually drop it down, sometimes it's hard to hold the line back because this is spinning, and there's no real good way with only one hand to kind of meter the line into the water. But still, you know, it is doable. Like I said, everybody has these, so you know, if you're just getting started and you get the Downriggers, you can definitely use these rods. That's about all I have on the Downrigger front. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, fishing wasn't great today, but I'm glad I was able to answer a lot of those questions with the Downriggers. Hopefully, you guys will hit that like, and hopefully you'll definitely hit that subscribe. If you're just passing through and you have, found something interesting, please hit that subscribe. We're at about a 15% subscription rate, which is about average for just about any channel. But, we're getting a ton of views of new viewers, and I would love to see you guys subscribe. The more subscribers I have, the more anglers that will see this, and in turn, get more people out on the water. So again, hit that like, hit that subscribe, and I will see you guys soon out on the water.